Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a new member of the Hamilton Khaki Field family with the Khaki Field Mechanical Bronze. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as a full authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive review of this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout this video, if you have further questions, check out the link in the description to the product page where you can learn more, book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists, as well as, of course, purchasing the watch. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. So one of the most popular watches that we carry on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, is the Khaki collection, and for good reason. It's one of the more value-packed collections available from pretty much any Swiss brand. And I would say when you're talking about $500, your first Swiss watch, maybe what to buy, this probably is the definitive choice that you could go for. Now, few brands also have the military pedigree that Hamilton does, specifically here in the United States, which is one of the reasons why the Khaki collection is as strong as it is. In fact, during World War II, Hamilton stopped producing commercial watches altogether, instead worked exclusively for the United States military, producing and delivering over 1 million field watches for military personnel between the years of 1942 and 1945. Now, the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical, this particular variation family, is going to be of the manual winding variety, and there's several variants that you could go for. We've covered pretty much every single one on this channel, so I'd recommend checking those out. But the one we're going to be looking at here today is the newest version from this family with the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical Bronze. This is probably one of the most appealing and entry-level options for a bronze watch that's not of the dive watch variety, so that is very interesting. But there are also some changes about this watch and where it falls with price that makes it a bit of a conversation to have. So let's first take a look at this watch, and then at the end, kind of just give some final points of consideration when you're looking in the direction of this, no doubt, really solid piece. So as we look at this watch on the wrist, we have a very familiar type of dimension set that we've seen with other variations in the past. 38 millimeters with that diameter. Thickness is going to be at 9.6 millimeters and the lug-to-lug distance of 47 millimeters. Like the other field watches from Hamilton that are going to match this styling, the central case is going to be incredibly wearable in a wide variety of wrists. It's going to be thin on the wrist with the help of that manual movement on the inside. The one point of, I would say, emphasis when it comes to wear that makes this wear pretty true, but maybe a little bit larger, maybe close to a 38.5 to 39 millimeter, is going to be the lug-to-lug distance of 47 millimeters. These lugs are also not going to necessarily tuck back towards the case back of the case. Like other watches that you might find on the market, these are more generally flat and are kind of just shooting out straight from the case side, which are going to make you feel the total of that 47 millimeters with its wear. Now, this isn't to scare anybody or to say that this watch is going to wear over the top large, but it is something to keep in mind as you look at that 38 millimeters and just factor in what you're going to kind of get with this field watch range. The case has a bead blasted finish, giving the bronze a very utilitarian overall appearance. Case edges are sharp and transitions between the surfaces are crisp and well defined, showing the vintage military design inspiration, and the blasted finish works well in this application. As we move over to the 3 o'clock position on the case, we have a relatively large crown that is going to operate the hand wound movement on the inside. It's also going to feature a farthest pulled out point where you can stop the second hand, so hacking seconds in the process. The wind is very tactile in terms of its feel. You're going to get a nice response as well as just audible noise when actually winding this piece. It is going to be one of the more attainable options from a hand winding perspective when you're looking at a Swiss caliber. This is going to have some modifications to this movement, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's rated to 50 meters of water resistance, which is one of the downsides when looking at the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical collection. If you want to go for 100 meters of water resistance, it's best to look at the automatic variants instead. One thing I will also mention when looking at these hand winding options, because there are so many people that maybe have never owned a mechanical hand winding watch before, it's just important to just note when you feel resistance in your wind to stop and not overwind this. Now, a lot of these watches are going to have a crown that's going to disconnect from the central movement in a case that it is going to be overwound to prevent damage. So just keep all this in mind. It's not to scare anybody again, but if this is going to be your first manual wound caliber, just make sure that you aren't going to overwind this, and I think it will allow you to have a great connection to your watch to a degree that you might not have when you're dealing with an automatic. So installed between the 20 millimeter lugs is going to be a brown leather NATO strap. It is, I would say, quite adequate for the price range, certainly something that you could consider keeping on the watch, and I think it definitely matches the look that the bronze case is going to evoke when looking in its direction. As you move down to the pin buckle, it is going to feature a signed pin buckle with a titanium case material. Now this is going to match the case back material, but in terms of matching the color, we're not going to have that here. So this is a little bit of a strange combination to see a bronze watch with a pin buckle that is not going to match the color of the bronze. Now this is being chosen probably for two reasons. One is titanium is going to be lighter weight, it's going to match the case back, but the other reason is probably going to be the direct point of contact with skin. They do not want to necessarily have something made of bronze that's going to potentially lead to maybe some increased irritation for those with sensitive skin. So this was probably the reason why they opted to go against this. I probably would have preferred to go for a stainless steel with a PVD finish buckle that could match the case, but that's just a small point here. So just a little bit strange to see that. In addition, the other note when dealing with the world of straps, given that the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical is probably at the pinnacle of just strap versatility, this watch does not feature drilled lugs, unlike some other Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical options, which I think when you're dealing with a bronze case material is even more of a needed type of asset for this watch, as having the ease of changing out straps without having to use a spring bar and having the risk of maybe scratching up the case back might be a nice thing to have when you're just trying to offer up the most optimal changing of straps from the day-to-day perspective. Moving over to the front of the watch, we have a slightly domed sapphire crystal providing view of the very familiar Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical dial layout. Now, if you have seen any of the mechanical models, this is going to really lean into that classic field watch design. In terms of generally what you're going to see, you have those triangular lume plots along the outside indicating the hours with large numerals coinciding with that with a nice bolded font. And then stepped right in between from there, you're going to have your 24-hour scale to have that 13 to 24 hours be working in unison with the traditional 12-hour format. In regards to the rest of the dial, pretty traditional black surface with a little bit of graining type of texture to it to add a little flair on top of a general utilitarian approach. Also at the center, you have the handset that is going to be very familiar for all the models out there, kind of these pointed syringe style containing lume on the hour and minute, and then having that lollipop counterweight on that second hand with the triangular tip also containing lume at the end. This dial is all business. It's going to work with a variety of different straps, a variety of different situations, and there really is not much else to say about it other than the fact that it's timeless in its design. Lume, in terms of its actual application in practice, is going to be a bit underwhelming. This is one area where Hamilton, I think, has always lagged a little bit behind the competition. This is a field watch at the end of the day, so I don't think the requirements are going to be the same, say if this was a dive watch, but still something to keep in mind. The hands I've always found are going to shine a bit more than the rest of the lume on the dial. But in terms of setting the archetype for a field watch design from a contemporary perspective with this dial, it really doesn't get much better than this. Now flipping this watch over, we have a simple case back design that's also going to come in titanium with its material, but it's going to protect and house the Hamilton H50 movement, which is going to be based on the ETA 28012, a very standard ETA caliber from the manual winding perspective. Now what is happening here, like many other watches from the Swatch Group brands, is there's going to be some modifications to really think about the power reserve in mind. Now here what we're going to find is the 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate, or 4 hertz beat rate, is going to be dropped down to 3 hertz or 21,600 vibrations per hour in order to maximize the mainspring to really be doubled up to 80 hours in this instance. These type of modifications are also going to manifest in other areas with the drop of traditional regulator pins that you will find with traditional ETA calibers, but these movements are all going to be regulated and are going to operate with pretty solid consistency in the single digits from the many Hamilton Khaki fields that I have handled. In terms of general operation, we're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 hertz. It's also going to feature hacking and hand winding. Again, hacking stopped in the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 80 hours. All right, so now to unpack looking at this Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. Now, I am a huge proponent of the entire Hamilton Khaki Field range. If you want to keep things relatively simple, you're looking for your first Swiss watch, you have $500 to spend, I think it's probably one of the best places to look if you're just getting involved in this world of mechanical watches from a Swiss perspective. Now, this is going to be a watch that's going to cater to a different type of buyer within the range. Now, mostly as a byproduct of the fact that this is going to be a little bit more at a premium compared to some of the other models within the catalog of Hamilton when you're looking at this Khaki collection, because on the surface, bringing forth a lot of the same attributes apart from the case that are going to come with more affordable stainless steel options. So that's one point to keep in mind. But the thing is, when I'm looking at this Hamilton Khaki Field Bronze, it's a watch that's probably not going to be in alignment with the type of person that's going to maybe look towards the Hamilton Khaki Field collection as that first watch. This one sure could be, but it's more of, I think the value here is looking at it as an entry door into the world of bronze watches that aren't of the dive watch variety. And I think sometimes bronze as a material, you almost overlook the fact because it's going to patina over time, that it almost is better off to not be on a dive watch, just given what the type of circumstances are going to come with wearing a dive watch and the different environments that come with wearing a dive watch. There are some small things like the lack of drilled lugs on this is a very peculiar thing to see as an omission here compared to the other models within this model family. But really, I think what it comes down to is the case material, is it worth the increase in price? For some, it's probably not going to be the case. If you're just going for that feel of the Hamilton Khaki collection, the stainless steel options are going to make more sense. But if you're coming at it from a different angle, like you're looking for a bronze watch under $1,000 from a brand that typically is very good with dealing with different types of materials, PVDs in terms of different offerings, and just doing a good job, and probably you're going to stack up against the competition in a better way, and are just looking for something that's not of the dive watch variety but are using the case material of bronze, then this watch starts to make a little bit more sense. The challenge is when you come in with the expectation of getting a Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical, and then you look at the price of this one compared to a traditional stainless steel. If you're going for the first mechanical Swiss watch ever, is this the one to go for? Maybe not as much as the other Hamilton Khaki Field mechanicals, but if you're going for a bronze watch under $1,000, no question this is one of the better offerings that you're going to have that's not of the dive watch variety. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That really does help out the channel, and I would appreciate that. Also, in addition, if you are in the market for this watch, check it out. It's available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is a full authorized dealer of all the products we carry. Quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support. We also offer a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer, unlike a lot of other places online. So if something goes wrong, you're gonna be covered. In addition to that, we offer price match. If you see one of our watches for cheaper at another authorized dealer, just fill out the form and we'll get in touch with you. And finally, 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back on the content that we're creating here, as well as on our main channel. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.